Welcome to the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast, where we learn about some success stories and some not so successful stories. But either way, we learn. Each episode, we talk with successful real estate agents and vendors about things they have done to make them successful and some things they did that you might want to avoid. Join us for each episode of the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast with your host, Preston Sandlin.
All right, listeners. Well, I have a good buddy of mine here. I've known this guy a long time. I want to go riding with him. That's going to happen one day. I know we keep talking about it. And here it is, 30 degrees outside.
Hey, I'm okay with winter riding.
There we go. There'll be some warm days, though. Mr. Eric Strom, how you doing, Eric?
Oh, life is good. Thank you.
Eric is, for anybody listening, there may be 3 people out there in real estate who don't know who this guy is. He was in the original Bill Gallagher Prudential back in the day. That's like watching, like I've seen that picture. It's like The Outsiders, I mean, not The Outsiders as far as being outside, but it's like all the stars that are in that thing. It's like, wow, so many stars of real estate were in that group. But he went on to, I know you were the broker in charge of Remax, a couple of other different things. And we'll definitely punch into that a little bit. But now you've started your own firm, Carolina Valor. Highly well thought of guy. It's one of my favorite realtors in Charlotte, and just favorite dudes all around. Eric, so tell us, give us a little background. And for those 3 people who don't know you, tell us, where you're from and how you got into real estate and how you got to where you are today.
Right. Well, thanks for having me, Preston. I know we talked about this ways back, and so I'm glad we're getting the opportunity to sit down and chat. And so I think I'm starting my 29th year. And as you just mentioned, I started with Bill Gallagher back in the Prudential days way before Berkshire Hathaway bought them. And it was a perfect place to start because Bill is probably the most respected person in the state of North Carolina for real estate. I mean, he's brilliant, and he was a great mentor. But I was only there about a little over a year, and I went to Remax, and I worked for the original Remax franchise in the state of North Carolina. And we were pretty big once upon a time. So I guess I started there in 95 because I started at the end of 93. Yeah, and in 2006, I became the broker in charge until 2019 when I went to the number 1 Keller Williams office in the world. And that was a great experience. It was but I was hired as a productivity coach, and they do real well with that. And anyway, so once the virus, kicked in and everybody was, we had, I don't know how big you think that office is, Preston. It's probably 35,000 square feet. I mean, it's huge.
It's big. It's a whole floor.
It's the entire floor of the Torrington Business Park. But, we went in there and there was like 4 agents, I'm 35. It's like, wow. Okay. So how important is it to have brick and mortar? Which is where my
you're talking about during the virus. Yeah.
Right.
Pre-virus, that place was humming,
Oh, yeah. They still crank. They still do a ton of business. They get great management there, but nobody's working on site.
Because of coronavirus.
Right. And so I my business is virtual, and it just seemed like a great opportunity. Everybody kind of realized that brick and mortar's maybe not as important as you think. And with that, I'm able to, it's 100% firm, okay, which is becoming more popular. And that's the main reason I did it, is because it was like, it's people work out of their home regardless. And I think it's really kind of the wave of the future. And I can cover stats and stuff like that later. I realize it's not for everybody, but I also realize that, most prudent agents want to see if there's a better possibility out there for them.
Right.
And, and I saw, you probably noticed this too. There's something that most consistent top producers have in common, not just here, but all over the country. And that is they embrace change, because a lot of people don't want to embrace change. And I get that, but at the same time, if we don't, we'd still be working with MLS books and carbon paper to duplicate offers. By the way, we had MLS books when I first started. in real estate. You have that now.
My mom was a real estate agent for a minute, and she would bring home those. It was a phone book, basically.
Yeah, and well, think about it now, because the market's so fast. They produce them every 2 weeks. Well, anything that hits the market right now it's sold in 2 weeks. They've been producing a book of under contract properties. But so anyway, change is necessary, and producers, top producers, they embrace it because they realize we have to.
Yeah.
But so much for that.
That's a big Gary. I'm a Gary Vaynerchuk fan. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one thing he says is a fatal flaw is to get romantic about business. I mean, it's great to romanticize how things were and stuff, but that's not a recipe for success. I mean, look at Sears, Woolworths, Kmart. And Kodak. Kodak, by the way, is the one who invented digital photography. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they invented it. It was within their.
Somebody else ran with it.
Well, yeah, and it's like, I guess one of their lower engineers, and they brought it up supposedly. I don't know the whole story, but I do know enough to know that the higher ups poo-pooed it, because at the time it wasn't like it wasn't that good. It was still
ahead of their time.
Yeah, and they made so much money on the chemicals and developing, they were like, blah, 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 blah. And, oddly enough, that's the thing that eventually killed them. So I'm a whole 100% with embracing change. Right. And I think we were going there anyway, but I think COVID just kind of ramped it up a little bit,
Right.
But, well, tell me a little bit about as far as COVID, and how do you think that's changing the way, and I don't know. I mean, every time I turn around, it seems like there's a new variant or something. How is that going to change, or did it force technology? Anyway, what do you see in the future of real estate, how it's going to be conducted?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, I don't think one had to do with the other, but the market was it started to peak like it hadn't in decades about the same time that the virus rolled itself in here. And so, what it's going to do, it's kind of hard to tell. I don't think it didn't help the market. I don't think it had anything to do with why the market exploded the way it has. But at the same time, I think it has changed the way we do real estate. When we meet people now, it's like at a coffee shop or Panera Bread or something like that, opposed to a conference room inside an office building. And that part of it has changed. I think it's made people a little more independent, just because of the force of really personal contact, which is starting to fade away a little bit, thank goodness. But I don't know if it's I don't think it's going to affect it too much, really.
Cool. What do you think about lead generation? What, for all the realtors out there listening?
Yeah. Well,
what do you think about lead generation and business? How would you tell them to go get business?
Okay. Good question. And it's funny because I had to look at things a little bit differently. I have never bought a lead in my life. I don't. I was just lucky or blessed or proficient enough that my business has always been 100% referral business. And that's, I became a certified real estate coach when I was at Keller Williams, and I realized, this isn't going to work for new agents. It didn't work for me initially either. Back when I started my business, I did homes and land magazines. I haven't spent a nickel on. I did it too.
Right.
All right. Well, it worked well then. I mean, it's like I ran one ad for a listing, and it was a great. It was new construction. It looked beautiful. It was only 2,600 square feet, but it looked 5,000 feet. It had high pitched roof and like 6, 7, 8 stairs going up to it, and it was 280,000. It looked like a $700,000 house, and I advertised that, and I got the phone to ring all the time. And it took me 8 months to sell the house because it was a stupid floor plan. But the phone rang, and back then I was unemployed for 10 months before I got real estate. So young family, my wife didn't work, and so if the phone rang, I hooked them in. I mean, the phone rang, they bought a house. I mean, I sunk my claws in it. And
you might not buy this one, but I can help you buy another one.
Right. But yeah, exactly. And, but with that, I just started, I really just served the clients that I had. And I made a point to, once listen, when you're buying a house, it's very intimidating. You're vulnerable, the clients are, and they don't know you from the back of beans at this point. But when they get to the point where they know that you are looking out for their best interest, the guard goes down, and then you can really take care of them the way you're supposed to. And so once that barrier was broken and they could see this selection, I started to tell them, listen, I plan on doing this for the next 25, 30 years here in Charlotte. And my goal is to build a 100% referral business. And that's only going to work if I take care of the people I'm taking care of and you're comfortable referring me to somebody else. So you're going to have thousands, hundreds of conversations between now and when you close on your property. Once you close on your property, those conversations stop. So I want to ask you now, when you're comfortable with me, when you have these conversations about real estate, you're telling people you're doing this, tell them about me. Tell them about me. And better yet, tell me about them. And I'll just send them a quick text. I didn't even have text back then. But what could I do? But and that's the way I've always done the business, and that's the way I train people. But as far as initiating leads, which was the question, I had to sort of relook at that when I started coaching newer agents, because they don't have the business to do that. And like I said, I have never bought a lead. So the only lead source that we used at Remax, which I brought on as in the company, and I have it here at my new company too, are the lead sources where you don't pay, and you pay a referral fee if you close, but you pay no fees up front. And I like that because they have skin in the game. The lead source does.
Right.
I mean, it's like the big Z that sells all the real estate ads to everybody. They sell 7 times more ads than home sell. So what does that mean? They're selling the same ad to 7 agents, so I've never given them a nickel, and I don't really, it works for some people, but I don't focus on that. I don't try to push people to do leads that way. The lead sources, when they have skin in the game, where you're not going to pay them unless you close on them, they'll offer you warm scrub leads that they have a conversation with before they connect you with them, and at that point you take them. If you close, you pay a referral fee on it. So
I like that.
There's not a lot of them that do that. Some of them want a big upfront fee. I'm like, how about I pay you the referral fee plus $1,000 on my first, which is twice what the setup fee is. Once we close on the first one, they don't want to do that. I'm like, I don't see, that's not a win-win. So yeah. You're probably asking the wrong person, the wrong agent, what I think of lead sources and how to do it, because I do it different than the vast majority of real estate.
It certainly worked for you. You're 29 years strong, so
yeah, well, thanks.
You certainly figured something out. Well, I do have a 2-part question to follow up with that, but I do want to add something before I go to there. We, being a home inspector, I get calls all the time from Home Advisor or something like that,
right.
The lead thing. And I like your thing where you only pay if you close on it, because I've never done that. I get called on it all the time. I know some other inspectors and forums who've done that. I think it's Home Advisor or whatever, internet leads. And some people have had success with it. And some people say, I called and they sold that lead to a whole bunch of other people too. And
right.
How good is the lead? You don't know. And I'm not knocking it, but I wish there was something like that where you only paid if you closed on it. But anyway, neither here nor there.
There gets your marketing brain ticking, Preston. That might be the next avenue.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I might need to get that going before I release this podcast. But anyway, going back to follow up on your answer to the next question, two parts. First, you mentioned that you were out of work 10 months before you got into real estate. Yes. I want to slightly go down that rabbit hole for a second and ask what you do in your former life. And then the second part of my question was, what do you, obviously what you've done has worked and you've taken care of the people and you want them to refer you to your family and friends. What do you recommend? Do you do, your database? How do you keep in touch with them, make sure that you're top of mind? So first part of the question is, what'd you do in your former life before real estate? And then the second part is, what do you do to nurture that database, I guess?
Right. I was a food broker
Oh, okay.
It went right here in Charlotte. I tell people I'm a Charlotte native, but that's just kind of a lie. I started kindergarten here, so I don't remember much of anything else. But um, so I started the business as a food broker in '88, and I did that for uh, I guess several years, and that company was getting sold, and the way food brokerage works is you're a manufacturer rep. I had, I think, just under 50 manufacturers that I represented, and I'd call on I'd call on the food distributors like PYA, Monarch, Biggers Brothers. They used to have those and things like that. And then I'd call on the grocery chains, and you would sell for the manufacturers. Well, that business works where it's all tied into the relationship that you had with the principal. And it was a small firm that I worked with. There was 5 of us, and 4 of them were like retirement age, and I was like 30. So I had the vast majority of the business, and I had the relationship with the principals. And he sold the company to somebody that was a Procter and Gamble rep, and they wanted to keep me on because they realized that I had the relationships. That's the only way the brokers are going to stay, or the manufacturers are going to stay with the brokers. And but I also realized that I could see the writing on the wall, and what he was going to do was basically form these relationships and bump me. So I just figured this is a good time to leave, and I took a job or accepted a job, I should say, in Denver, Colorado. Well, the job fell through, and so I find myself unemployed. And the truth is, I could have gone back, and kept my job, because it was like almost instantaneous when all this happened. But I figured, well, I'm young, I have somewhat of an impressive resume. I'll just go find another job. Well, no, I was like, for 10 months, I didn't have a job. And it was my father that actually recommended, he said, why don't you just get a real estate license and, do that? And I was thinking, well, it's a good idea. My plan was, I'm going to get a license, sell a few houses till I find a real job. And I was busy right away. I made more than twice as much money my first year in real estate as it is a food broker.
Wow.
Which was not a bad living, even as a food broker.
What year was this? What year?
93. I started towards the end of 93. So 94 is my first full year.
Okay. And,
I think interest rates were like 10% then. But that's what I did before. And sales is really all I've ever done. And I do it a little different than I think a number of other agents. There's a lot of the real estate gurus out there that do seminar training and things like that, and the only one I've really paid much attention to is Brian Buffini. And I think the reason I liked him, I determined, was because I was already doing a lot of things he suggested. This guy's smart, I like him. But he does, and that kind of circles into the next part of your question, because he said you need to work your business where you can build it to be 100% referral business. And you do that based on what I said a little earlier, really taking good care of your people, and then ask them, send me business. Follow up with them. Did you refer me today? Oh, because I hadn't got any calls from you. This is a joke, but that's what he did. And he said, you have clients that are A, B, C, and D clients, right? I mean, you have your A's are going to go to bat for you. They're going to send you business. They think you're just the best thing there is. B's are pretty good. C's you wonder about, and D's will just drive you crazy. It's like you could have 12 clients and one big pain in the ass guy.
I've done inspections for all of them.
Oh, I know, yeah. And you see they rear it on because of what you do, your aspect of the business. That's when they really start to rear it sometime. And see, think about this. I mean, it's like you got 12 clients at one given time, and all of them are pretty smooth except this one, and they're just wearing you out with the way they have you running around and nothing ever works. It's like they're always looking for a win-lose situation or something. And he said, sometimes, I learned this is Buffini now. He said, I learned this from my 3-year-old, because every time I left the house, he'd look at me and he'd say, bye-bye now. And he goes, sometimes you have clients where you just need to say, bye-bye now. Just dump them, get rid of them. He goes, you're starting to give worse service to your good clients because this guy's sucking up all your time and, just driving you crazy. So, I think you can avoid that. Some agents are their worst own enemy. That. It's like, and and as the BIC and a coach, I'd see this with people. I'm like, you always seem to have the same problems. Your clients are doing this and that. Maybe you need to address the fact that, you're the common denominator here, and just, take a look at, how you do the business. And I think I've got really sort of off track, because the second part of this question was how you stay in touch with your clients.
Yeah, nurture them, or so that you're top of mind when they think real estate.
So I think initially is determining which ones you really want to do that with, because if you have this one client that's just, driving you back crazy and pulling your hair out, sometimes agents, I thought I turned my phone off, sorry. Agents, once they have so much time vested in there, like, well, I'm gonna stick with it because I want to get paid on this thing. But sometimes, so you need to sort of size up your clients early on and determine whether or not you don't want to work with everybody, and it's okay to refer them to somebody you don't like.
I've done that.
But and it frees you up to take care of the people that you're working with. So again, like the thing you were saying, ABC clients, forget the D's, probably don't even work with the C's, and try to turn all your B's into A's, and do that by basically, staying in touch with them. My sphere of influence is really small in comparison to a lot of other agents, because I kind of like I'm working with the cream of the crop. I can track that one listing I told you I was advertised in Homes and Land. That was in '94. I can still track business from that. Honest to God.
Really? Wow.
I mean, it's like I have no idea how much business I tracked it one time, and it was a ton of sales. I mean, you think I was kidding if I told you, but it's by staying in touch with them. It's like contact them. Take them out to lunch. You don't have to talk about real estate. They know what you do. Meet them for a cup of coffee. Let them bring up real estate, and at that point, they tell them, listen, remember, this is how we met, and this is how you helped me build my business. So I want to ask you again, when you talk about real estate, when the conversation comes up, do me a favor, just tell them about me and tell me about them, and we'll reach out to them. So that's, my database is done a little bit differently than a lot of people do it. But it's a high touch, very personal, warm, fuzzy type of approach.
So do you take them out to eat and stuff? Do you like call them once a year at least, or
and their anniversary dates? I'll send them a card. Sometimes I do just pop by. If I'm in the neighborhood, if you have, hey, okay. And this is kind of common practice, I guess, but in the holidays, or get a couple dozen poinsettias, with your business card and a little note, and just you can call them ahead of time, say, look, I'm going to be in your neighborhood, drop some things off, can I stop by? And if it, you can send them a text. If they don't reply, just no big deal, stop by, ring the doorbell, and split, or talk to them for a minute. You need to be very cautious of their time, especially with a pop by, because you're just being rude if you're not.
Yeah. And you could probably overdo it too. You could probably
and then again, for your own protection. I mean, you got some of them that just will not stop doing this, right? I'm like, oh God, hey, yes, I think
slide out.
Yeah, and that's why I tell them, hey, listen, why don't we meet for coffee here? Come first. This is Christmas, okay? First of the year maybe, but I've got a bunch of people I need to stop by and see, or however you want to phrase that. That might not be the best way. That's going to make them feel unimportant, but.
No.
Got a full calendar, probably need to run, but let's catch up soon. And, text messages, simple things. If they have something that, I take good notes when I first meet people, and you find out where the tickle spots are, and what, if they have, if they're big into, I don't know, stock cars, which I don't know what to think about, NASCAR, I guess. See, don't even know what it's called, but something like that. Just kind of take notes on what they're like, into, and then if you see an article like that, email it to them, and then send them a text. Hey, by the way, just sent you an email. Blah blah blah. Let's grab coffee. Blah. You don't have to spend a lot of money doing it.
Awesome. I got so many questions and follow up on that, and things to add. And for all the listeners out there, I told Eric in the pre-interview, I always wanted these interviews to be like we're just having, we're having a beer, and so I excuse my informality. Yeah, there you go. Right. Something I've noticed doing inspections is, and I don't. Let me see if I can say this without being sexist. I don't know as much about women. I mean, but I know, here's the thing about dudes, because I'm a dude, I know. Every dude is into something. He's into something, because every dude as a young man is like, cars and girls until you get married, and then you can't do that anymore or it'll get you in trouble. So now it's either golf or, I can tell when I'm doing inspections, I can figure it out,
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of guys, it's golf or Harleys or, bikes. That's what we're, I'm kind of into that a little bit. Or some people are into, CrossFit or something. But you're right. Every dude, and women may be the same. I'm not as in touch with that.
Easy to read them. Well, it's probably good you can't.
Yeah. But every dude has a thing after he gets married, to channel his whatever, so he doesn't get in trouble, because if it's, cars and girls again, that you can only do that up to a point, and then that's going to get you in trouble, so if you can figure out what that is, or it's their, their college team or whatever, and they're gung-ho about that. And sometimes it's multiple things, but when I'm inspecting, I'm in people's space, and it doesn't take me long to figure out what it is. Well, this dude, his thing is this.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point, because this is something else I bring up in coaching, or when it's like, if you're working as a buyer agent and there's interest in this house, it's amazing what you can learn about people by their literature and their bumper sticker.
Yeah.
You can,
that's true.
you can, and you approach people differently. I think you need to. You need to. Obviously, you're dealing directly with the agent, but it's their client who's come to terms with things, and just knowing a little bit about the personality of somebody can help you kind of channel the way you're going to present offers.
Yeah. And something else I've learned too, Eric, especially like if there's ever a problem or something that I've learned, and you're dealing with a couple, there's all, and it's not what you might always think either. There's one that's a little more like right-brained or logic, or I don't forget which is which, but one's going to be a little more emotional and one's going to be a little bit more logic. And it's not, I know I sound like sexist. No. It's not always what you think. It can be,
right. Exactly.
But a lot of times, in probably dealing with real estate, you need to figure out which one of those people is the little more like, and in my situation, it's my wife. She's actually the one that makes the trains run on time and is a little more, I'm more apt to like get emotional about something than she is. She's very like, even she's probably the one you want to talk to, if that makes sense.
Well, it's probably a good idea to ask them. And I do, just like, one of the first conversations, like, what's the best way to communicate with you? Do you want me to call you direct? How about text? And, should I send the text to both of you? Do you want me to, do you prefer I just deal with one and the other can communicate with you? And then they'll tell you, but you're exactly right. It's as an inspector and a real estate agent, you wear many hats, you do a lot of things, and it's not a typical business because you're dealing with people in a very personal level, and it's like sometimes you're a counselor to them, where
absolutely.
It is else,
You're a Sigmund Freud and the police and and real estate agent and everything.
Hello, I'm Bill Gallagher with Superior School of Real Estate, and I'm here with Preston Sandlin of Home Inspection Carolina. Preston, I've always liked your style, especially those pants, and also I've been interested in the home inspection business for a long time.
Well, Bill, that's ironic. I've always admired your style, and I've always admired your ability to educate these fine folks for sometimes 4-8 hours a day. I wish that I could do what you do.
Hey Preston, wouldn't it be cool if we switched? Preston, we sure got what we wished for, buddy.
We sure did. And now that you're the expert, Bill, you are wearing the pants. And I'm the instructor and the educator. Tell us what Home Inspection Carolina is doing these days to make the home buying process easier for realtors and home buyers.
Well, Preston, all our home inspection reports now are online for the real estate agent and the client to review the report online and to be able to create a repair list basically online by either clicking repair, accept, monetary compensation, and once they prepare the request, they can then press email, text, or print right then.
You mean it's all automated, Bill?
Absolutely, we are high tech.
Wow. What else is Home Inspection Carolina doing different these days?
Well, Preston, we're training our home inspectors to be non-alarmist. We are training them to put things into perspective and to simplify the message for the homeowner.
Non-alarmist is key, Bill. You remember those days of the 100-page reports and those 3-ring binders that would just go on and on and on, la 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 la. Thank you for being a good non-alarmist.
And Preston, one more thing. We fix the small stuff for free. Do you remember when home inspectors always put those little nitpicky items on those reports?
Oh, bless their hearts.
Well, at Home Inspection Carolina, if we can fix it in 5 minutes or less, we do it for free. We're better with a caulk gun than a keyboard any day. We just fix it.
You mean there's no cost for this, Bill?
Preston, it's free.
Wow.
Well, Preston, these pants really are a catch.
Well, Bill, I've enjoyed wearing the suit, but I don't think I could wear it every day because I got to fix the small stuff for free, and I don't want to ruin a good suit.
Preston, it's been a lot of fun flipping the switch.
Well, let me ask you this, Eric. Let's say I come to work for Carolina Valor. Actually, I do have a real estate license, but I just do it so I have the key.
Yeah, I got you.
But I'm going on a listing presentation. This, for everybody listening, this is just total not
Hypothetical.
I thank you.
Yeah, got you.
I'm going in, and let's say there's going to be 2 other, supposedly 3 listing presentations. What advice would you give me going into that listing presentation, knowing that I'm going to have competition, 2 others? What advice would you give me?
Well, I embrace it, and I tell them, you know what, good for you. Any prudent seller is going to do this, and it's always good to see what other perspectives there are out there. Now, and I'll tell you this, Mr. Seller, this isn't bat to bat as soon as you walk in. So I'll walk in, and I have them give me a tour, and I take notes, and I tell them I'm going to take notes, and I said the more notes I take, the less I'm going to have to ask you later. And just have them show you around the house. And I talk about, it's like, normally they're at the front door. You tell them this is everybody's first impression of your house. They're walking up here, they're looking, it's like, you probably come in through your garage, right? So you need to come to your front door on a daily basis because cobwebs come 3-4 hours. Keep this place clean. It's everybody's, first impression of your home. I'm not answering your question. So what I would do is, if I was going on a listing presentation where I know they're going to be interviewing a few other people, I'll tell them, good for you. You should do that. A couple things you want to keep in mind. Okay. There's a lot of good agents in this town, and there's a lot that maybe aren't so good, and my job is not to bash any of them, but I'll tell you this. I said, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, even if it's not what you want to hear. And a lot of agents, and I'm not saying this is going to be the case with the other people that you're talking to. I don't know who it is. I don't need to know who it is. Well, because I'm just going to shoot very straight with you. But a lot of agents will tell you what you need to hear just to get the listing, and then you would backtrack the whole way in here, So, and I use that same approach with price, because if you do a market analysis on something, where your numbers are. If you're a good agent, where your numbers are. And if they're saying somebody else says it's worth this, or we just want to push it, and the market's a little different now than it's been in a very, very long time. So some of these things aren't as relevant as they would be in a normal market. But it's like it's like I could tell you, your home is worth this much, but I'd be setting you and me up for failure. It's not. Right. This is all your house is worth, and nobody's going to pay you more than it's worth. And if they do, you're not going to appraise. So then you're starting over.
And now your house is going to be priced back where it should be, and it's got time on the market, which makes people wonder what's wrong with this house. Why has this thing been sitting on the market this long?
Right, exactly. And it creates a stigma.
Yeah.
And so you really need to put your best foot forward. And I'm an open book. You ask me anything, I'm going to be very upfront and transparent with you. I know the market well, and I've done a lot of business. Most of all my business is referral business. And if we work together, I'm going to take very good care of you. I have a 4-page marketing plan that I'm going to give you. I'll cover it line by line if you want. But the truth is, it's like out of those 4 pages, there's a simple few things that I do that are really going to sell your house. And I said, one of them is networking with other agents that I know work this price range, that work this side of town, that are good, solid agents and know business, and they have a lot of buyers. And I get in front of them and I tell them about it. And again, Preston, this is like the market's different right now.
Yeah, it's
But,
weirder than
you
it's
know,
ever been.
in days past and the way they're going to be in the future, this is, excuse me, that's it. That's, I think, is the best approach to take. You know, just letting them know. And also, I think it's probably a good idea. Some agents want to be first. Some agents want to be last. I tell you what I used to do when before everything was electronic. We go in with I would fill out the listing presentation, and after I toured the house with them, took all my notes, and covered my marketing plan with them, I would cover the listing agreement with them, and it was filled out, everything but the price, because I would, you know, and when we, you know, we talk about it, if I had the price, I'd fill that in, and then I'd cover this one page after the other. And then when I got to the last page where the signatures were, I said, and this is where he signed. I just put the pen down and shut up.
That's good. That's good.
You know? And that's the point. You need to just shut up. You know, it's agents.
Yeah, that's an art to knowing when to stop talking. Yeah.
Right. And when to listen, you know, and listen to what they say and address that. And a lot of times they just pick it up and sign it, you know, even though they planned on meeting with other agents.
Yeah, and figure out what.
And I tell them, listen, yeah, I'll be glad to make the phone call if you want. I'll call them and tell them that. You know,
figure out where their pain points are, where their objectives.
Right, they don't. You know, it's like, oh man, I said I would do this. I'm like, you know, it's your home. You need to do what you want, what you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable with moving forward with me, I know I'm going to take good care of you. I feel sure I'm going to get you as much as anybody ever could on your home, because I'm a strong negotiator. I mean, and I use the same approach when in regards to commissions. You know, they beat you up on commissions, and I tell them, well, you know, they're negotiable. Everybody's committed. If they're not, it's price fixing. If somebody tells you they're not negotiable, now they don't have to negotiate with you, but they are negotiable. You know, and I said, if you want to negotiate, how about 8%? I'm okay with that. Okay, well, let's get back to 6 or whatever. And I tell them, if you have agents that are going to give their, listen, 6%, that's a lot of money. It is, no doubt. I mean, it's $2,000. Say a $3,000 house. That's a low average right now. That's $9,000. Okay. That's just on one side, 18,000. Okay. That's a lot of money. I'm not going to dispute that, but keep this in mind. Okay. Half of that money is going to go to the buyer agent. All right. And so, and then what's left when I sell the home is split with my firm. When you say split, they're thinking 50-50. You know, if you work for me, you keep 100% less a transaction fee, but you're still splitting it, right? So you say split. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, there's 50% of 50% that's left over. And then I have advertising, marketing, my MLS fees, my carrying costs, photographer, virtual tour. And then after all those expenses, I get the perk of paying taxes on what's left. So even though 6% is a lot of money, at the end of the day, what I end up with is pretty small in comparison. And a lot of times, you know, and then I don't address it after that. You know, a lot of times that's all they needed to hear. And that didn't, I kind of circled about. I'm not really answering the question that you
No, you did.
That's all during a listing presentation. There's a lot of objections. My favorite part of coaching was overcoming objections.
Well, let's talk about that. How do you, let me give you a couple of objections. Okay. Let's see. Now you're talking about, let's see.
Well, either side. I mean, okay. More objections come up as a listing agent, you know, during the listing, you know.
All right. Well, you're telling me that, you know, I can only get this, you know, I pulled the little flyer from my neighbor's house down the street who has upgraded bathrooms and kitchens. And they're asking this. Why are we not asking what they're asking?
Well, you know, okay, Mr. Preston, that's a good question. And the good news is, if you're going to go on the market, it's a wonderful thing when your neighbors have overpriced listings, because it makes you look good. It doesn't mean they're going to get that price. We can ask $5 million for your house. Doesn't that look like a real expensive house? But, you know, realistically, it's worth $400,000. So if your neighbor's asking $80,000 more than it's worth, that's just going to make you look good. We'll sell yours and theirs won't sell until they get the price right. So, you know,
well,
or then you can address the other things like you just said. But, you know, you need to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. So what do you know about your neighbor's house besides the price? I mean, have they done it? Do they have new HVAC? Have they put a new roof on? Any new appliances, you know, cabinets, countertops, a lot of these things? Or is it in bad shape? You know, until you know these things, you're really not going to know what it's worth. And by the way, a market analysis cannot be done by an algorithm. Okay. Yeah. I know there's the big Z out there does what they call market analysis by an algorithm. That's nuts. You can't do it. I mean, we're in a warm, fuzzy business. You need to put your hands and touch all these things and look at all aspects of it. A good realtor is going to take the same approach to marketing, to coming up with a market analysis of a home, the value, the current market value of your home, taking the same steps that an appraiser would. And that is a lot different than just winging it out there. You need to know every bit of the comps that you're looking at, the yard size, what type of yard size, the landscape. I mean, there's 100 different factors in coming up with the true value of what your home is worth right now. And again, that's why it's important you pick the right agent, because if you pick somebody because they told you your house is worth this and it's not, you've set yourself up and them for failure. It's not worth that and they won't get it. And these are the hard facts that I've priced your house at.
All right, I'm gonna give you another objection. So you're telling me you can sell my $500,000 house, whatever. But I got to pay 6% to, either you or, you and the buyer's agent, whatever. Why should I do that? I could do a FSBO, or I could get one of these just discount. And I'm not talking junk about them, but no. I mean, but why should I pay you 6% when I could go, that route?
Good question. You don't have to. A lot of it boils down to experience. Okay. What would you like to approach first? Let's look at for sale by owners. I mean, it's like we're in a market right now where you actually may be able to sell your house as a for sale owner. Now, stop. Okay. I think a good thing to do with objections is to address them head on, and don't ever make them feel ridiculous like that. Let them feel good. It's like maybe this will work, and then you come up with. Then you let them see all the reasons why they shouldn't. So a market like this, you probably have a better chance of selling your house as a for sale by owner than you really ever have. However, selling it and closing it is two different things. You need to be proficient in many, many different avenues. And if you don't have to be an expert in all of them, but you need to know a little bit about everything. First of all, where are you going to get the paperwork to fill it out? And is your buyer qualified or pre-approved? And have they checked their income and verified assets? Because if they're not, it won't do any good if they write you an offer, because you won't close. And the attorney, where are their lender? Okay, the process, the underwriter, the survey, the home inspection. Have you had one? Who's responsible for it? Whose cost or what? What's the buyer's cost? What's the seller's cost? I mean, there's pages after page after page of things that you need to do in order to get yourself under contract and then closed, because the work starts once you're under contract. Okay.
Right.
And so yes, 6% is a lot. And then I'd go into what I said earlier. I said, however, this is kind of how it breaks down. And you just take 3% there, what's left over, blah, blah, blah. It's a rare thing for me to reduce my commission. If I do, it's because I choose to, and I do it up front before I even talk to them about it. But I'm not saying you shouldn't. I have a stipulation in my independent contractors agreement with Carolina Valor Realty, and it says in there, it's like I give you liberty to list your properties at any percent or cost or dollar amount that you want, but you cannot advertise as a discount broker. I said, because I highlighted it's in bold. They have to initial it. I said, because if you do one time, I'm gonna let you go. I don't want the reputation as a discount broker. We work too hard, and I think it's foolish, to do it. Listen, you're. I also tell them, you kind of get what you pay for, right? Yeah. I mean, if they're willing to negotiate their own commission out, how hard are they going to negotiate for the price of your home? They just want to get it done, right? Well, I feel pretty confident that if you paying 6% for me to sell your house, there's no way to prove this, but I'm, after almost 30 years of being in this business, I feel I can probably get you more money net you more money at 6% than a discount broker could at 4.5%.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like
having 1.5% when you're working with a professional negotiator. I negotiate for a living. It's all I've ever done.
Well, it's like an accountant. It's crazy. I have an accountant. I've had an accountant for years, but I remember the first year I got an accountant, I was like, man, why should I? And the craziest thing is they saved me more money right away, and made me aware of some things that I could do.
Right.
That way more than paid for themselves. Yeah. And I've never looked back,
No, that's a perfect example. I've used it myself. It's like my CPA is expensive and I gladly pay that bill every year because I know he nets me, he saves me money than if I, used, one of the big franchises, or God forbid, I tried to do it myself.
Yeah. And I've been in some coaching groups and they're all different, but this latest one I've got in, I found out something right away that was that's going to save me more money than my fee for paying them. So,
right. Exactly.
Which is like I got it for free, I mean, along with all the other good stuff. So, the only thing left is I kick myself in the rear for why waiting so long to get an accountant? Why waiting so long to do that? Sometimes, what is it, penny wise and pound foolish type deal, and I'm all about, don't get me wrong, I'm all about saving money and not spending stupid money, but, but whenever there's something that the benefit outweighs the cost, I mean, do that all day long. It's like a money machine, put $1 in, get 5 out. Wow. Do that as many times as you can, why would you not? I'm hard-headed though.
I hear you.
One last question before we get to the lightning round. One last serious question. The lightning round's a little more fun. You alluded to this earlier. A lot of people go into real estate. Real estate and home inspection. I don't think it's anybody's first. I mean, I'm not no offense to anybody out there. I didn't grow up. Hey man, I'm gonna grow up and be a home inspector. I didn't even know what that was when I was a kid. But we have found a home, right? But I sponsor a lot of those new agent orientations, and I'm always looking out there on the crowd. And I've been doing this a long time too. Not quite. I started in '95, I think. So I'm about 2 or 3 years behind you. But anyway, over time, some of those people that were out in that audience became, mega, agents or big time successful, however you want to measure it. They've done a lot of business, and then a lot of others have washed out. And I'm always kind of playing a game with myself. Like every time I get in front of them, I'm like, just wonder who the mega agents are going to be out of this group and who's going to wash out and stuff. Right. So my question to you is, you've probably seen a lot of that too. You've seen somebody, people start in the same place and some people wind up being successful and some people wash out.
Right.
Do you think there's a common ingredient or habits, or what's the difference between the people who make it and become successful and last 29 years versus the people who wash out? What do you, if there is such a thing?
Well, no, that's actually a very good question. I think a lot of it is consistency. And listen, you have to be tough skinned. I've talked a lot of people into doing real estate, and I've talked probably more people out of doing it. Because it's kind of the approach they come. It's like, I really like previewing houses, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not necessarily
the fun part of it,
but there's a whole lot more to it than that. And I just kind of I tell them, up front, I'm like, I won't blue sky you at all. I'll tell you all the perks and I'll tell you the disadvantages, and you kind of get a feel for whether you think this is good or not. I love the job. I think it's the best job in the world, but you need to be willing to dedicate a lot of time and effort into it. And you need to have just, it's like Meg is great because she supports you. You need to have a supportive wife in this business because you're going to work long hours. You're going to work weekends. You're going to work nights. Now, I haven't done that in 20 years hardly. It's like, it's a rare thing. If you're working with out of town people, that's a different story. You have to work around their schedule. But most of the time, it's like having the conversation up front to work with, how are you going to set things up, and set expectations. So I guess to answer the question, is if you can get systems in place, you need to be organized. And if you're not, then you need to work to the point where you can bring somebody on that will help you stay that way, an admin person. But if you have systems in place and you're consistent in the way you do it and your follow-up is strong, and you have to be a little tough skinned and you can't take things personal. I mean, sky's the limit. It's like when I went from the brokered charge at Remax to a productivity coach at Keller, I kind of shifted gears, and I realized I've always had all these scripts in my head, but I never wrote them down. Because I have an objection, I just figure out how to overcome the objection. And so then I started putting them down in writing. And so a lot of it is learning how to overcome objections, because in that itself, you need to be a little tough skinned. You can't take it personal. It's a business, but it's a very personal business. And your clients may take things personal, but you can't still. And when you can separate the two of them, I think that could make a difference on, being a good, consistent, top producing agent. Look at the big picture, that, if you're, can we drop names here in a good way?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Brian Belcher, most people know Brian. He is the most consistent agent that I know. I mean, he worked for me at Remax, and I'd be there late, and he's making cold calls. He does it twice a day, several hours, and he'll call people for years and years, and he'll call them until they say, "You call me again, I'm going to come by and stab your dog," or something. He just he'll stay with them until they buy a house or until they tell him to take a hike. And most of the time they don't. He's I think he's sold 800 homes already.
Wow.
And he hasn't been doing this real long in comparison, to us. But Beth, his wife, is, and he'll be the first one to tell you, it's like I'd just be an average agent at best if I didn't have Beth. She's proficient as anybody I've ever met in my life.
And I'll tell you something about Brian. Man, he's a smart dude too.
And she.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he is. Well, he left the six-figure mark a long time ago. He's beyond. I shouldn't say that. But,
well, he showed me something one time. I remember I was talking to him or something. This was years ago. This was back when the Remax was over there at the Arboretum, and he was showing me something, my website or something. And dude, he knows like programming and stuff. And he's like, "Hey man, you could do this and you backslash this and you can add this." I'm like, what?
Right. And
I'm like,
well, he's very open to share too. And I think that's another good attribute to a good agent. You don't have to hold everything close to your chest. I mean, it's like, obviously you're not giving your own business away, but it's like, I don't know. I was like, I love helping agents prosper. That's why I've liked coaching. That's why, I offer free coaching in my company, because I want to train people to do business the way I want to do business, which I think is the best way to do it. 100% referral business, And it's like I know agents that start over in business every single day. I wouldn't do this business if that's the way it was. Anyway,
good stuff.
But I don't know if that answered your question or not.
No, it did. It did. All right, you ready for the lightning round? We're gonna do a lightning round and then finish up with two serious questions. I don't want to hold you. I know we're pushing on an hour here already, but you've been giving some great advice.
That's okay.
First question.
So you want rapid fire answers here now?
Well, yeah, and the first one's just kind of a funny one. In all your years of real estate, Eric, what's the craziest, weirdest, or funniest thing that either happened to you or story or with somebody? And you can change the names to protect the guilty. But what's the craziest real estate story that you know of?
Yeah, well, we won't be able to remain PG if I answer that question. But,
the second craziest story.
It's like I've always said, I say this at our business meetings. I said, because it's the BIC. You always, any crazy story ends up on your lap.
Right.
There's something crazy going on. You hear about it. So I've heard some really, really wild stories, and I said we need to collectively write a book. On all these crazy things.
Like Blatantly stories.
Crazy stories that I've heard from the hundreds of agents that have worked on me is my story. And I'll make it short. I'll share the rest of it with you when we're off air. But
all right.
But it was a house in Gastonia. And oh my goodness. I won't even give you the Reader's Digest version. I'll just tell you it took months. I was a listing agent. And before it was closed, there was the person who bought it had a house in Florida he needed to sell. It was he had a squatter tenant in there that had gutted the thing and was renting out rooms.
Oh my gosh.
One of the tenants in there died. the guy was such a whack job that he didn't want his secret on all this money he was making, to come up. They buried this, honest to God truth, Preston. I have it all. It's proven. I've got police records and everything. They buried a guy in the backyard. And then so
you win, winner, chicken dinner. I have never heard of this.
No, there's more. There's a lot more. So the buyer's sister was a real estate agent, but she was an unpracticing real estate agent. So I basically did it all for her, which I didn't care, and but she wasn't who we thought she was. The parents died. She became the executor to the will, not the brother who was buying the house. When they found out they couldn't sell his house, I actually wrote this down years ago because I wanted to remember it all. The parents had told him that he would get, they would lend him like $100,000, and he could pay it back in the mortgage. Well, the sister stole the money and left. She split. The FBI, I don't know, they found her, but she left with this, and she's nowhere to be found, or she wasn't several years ago. It's in Gastonia, by the way, if that might answer a few questions. But there's more things that I can't even tell you about. The guy
did it eventually sell or no?
Yeah, it did sell to him.
Wow.
He rented it for a year in regards to waiting for everything to come about.
Hopefully they dug up the person in the backyard, I hope.
Oh my God. It was like, Preston, there's so many more avenues to this.
Oh my God. You do need to write a book.
The seller still reaches out to me. He sends me business. You know why? Because I asked for it.
That's
he still sends me business.
crazy.
He called me like 3 months ago. This is probably in 2011, something like that, when the market first started to turn around again.
Wow, that's crazy. Have you told Bill Gallagher?
I've heard
story?
other stories where like people walking in and owners in the shower, or they're
we've had that inspecting.
Right. Oh, I hear something in that room. We probably shouldn't go in.
I've had somebody open the door. I was doing an inspection. Well, I knocked on the door, hey, I'm here to do the inspection. They open the door and they're completely naked. No towel, no anything. And I'm just like,
okay. It's a girl or a guy?
Actually, I've had both.
Yeah,
people are crazy. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there thinking, I need to get somebody here at this inspection where it's not just me, where it's a he said, she said, if anything goes wrong. I mean, it's just
right.
crazy. And some of my inspectors, I mean, we've had guns pulled on us, just crazy stuff. And the worst is when, and I'm not trying to hijack your story.
No, I want to hear.
Well, the worst is like when we have to go back to the house to pick up a radon box or to do a re-inspection, because now they have gotten our inspection report sometimes and they're pissed off.
Right.
Yeah, they don't like us anymore, So sometimes that can be a little contentious. And again, that's not the rule. It's definitely the exception, but it's just crazy thing. And I went one time to do an inspection, Eric, and I pull up, man, there's cars everywhere. And I'm thinking, at first I'm thinking, God, this is going to be a terrible inspection because, everybody came, like, oh, God,
Right.
contractor uncle.
They want to follow you.
Right. But as I started walking towards the house, I saw a couple people and they were all dressed up. I get up to the front of the house and there's a reef on the door. And I'm like, uh-oh, maybe we should reschedule. He's like, yeah, good idea. They were having a wake. We were supposed to do the inspection, but
yeah, something you should have thought about when we scheduled it.
Yeah, I was like, somebody should have communicated.
Somebody dropped the ball there.
Yeah, but
wasn't you?
Yeah, but good stuff. We'll have to get off the air and we'll have the real beer. And
I'll tell you the rest of that story.
All right.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like what you just said, except for the wake part.
There we go. All right, the rapid fire questions. Ginger, Marianne.
Marianne.
That's what most people say. I have had two Ginger.
Marianne was the only one that got royalties in that whole show.
Really?
So she was pretty fine and smart.
Huh. She wasn't just
a little trivia piece for you there.
I'll have to look that up. Football or basketball?
Football.
Christmas Vacation or Elf?
The movies. Christmas Vacation.
Animal House or Caddyshack?
Animal House.
Celebrity crush?
Oh my goodness, you got a few minutes. Oh my goodness. You think I would remember my crush's names?
You're about the same age as me. Farrah Fawcett, was she up there?
No,
Or Lonnie
no.
Anderson?
Okay. I don't know why my mind went blank. I guess because I got embarrassed. So
I'll come back.
I'll go back to that one.
All right.
I got more than a few.
Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
Would you rather phone call or text?
Text.
iOS or Android?
Android.
Me too. Me too. My whole family is like,
Yeah.
you got a bad phone. They're all Apple and iOS, and I'm
Right.
PC.
Well, they're trying to make themselves feel better about that.
Well, my thing with that, not to get too far off, is just you can get a better camera, better memory, better everything. Because once you get into that whole iOS world, now I admit it flows well. I used to have an iPhone for years.
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing is, what got me was the phone costs so much more, and yet like I got a phone for less with Android that has a better camera, the better, more memory, more stuff like that. So
right. No, I agree completely. You realize we just dropped about 30% of our audience, though, don't you? They're a little stubborn. Yeah, let me go back to your earlier question. That'd be Holly Berry.
Oh, Holly Berry. Okay, cool. There you go. What's worse to do, laundry or dishes?
Laundry.
Tennis
Just the
shoes.
folding part.
Yeah, tennis shoes or flip flops.
Tennis shoes.
Most important in a partner, intelligent or funny?
Can I throw in a few others? Well, everybody
Don't lose the rest of our
everybody
audience.
has intelligence, so I'll go with funny.
All right, don't lose the 70% we got left. Let's see. Just a couple more here. Would you rather have a small gathering or a big party?
Small gathering.
Coffee hot or iced?
Hot.
And the most important question, toilet paper, over or under?
Well, I got to tell you, I've changed my mind about this over the years. I'm an over guy.
Okay. Most
somebody sent me this picture. It said, mullet or beard.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
beards are cool. Mullets are bad.
I switched. A beard
well,
guy, not a mullet guy.
I interviewed somebody that most people do say beards over. I even know some inspectors that'll change it because they're so OCD. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
it's their house, not yours.
Yeah.
But one guy gave me a really good explanation. He said that if you have a cat, you got to go under because they're less likely to do the.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I did not know that because if they got a beard, they'll.
Yeah. I have a puppy. She does that. Maybe I need to change him temporarily.
Go under.
I'm looking over.
Go under. All right. Last two questions, and I'll let you go, Eric. I appreciate all your time. I know the listeners appreciate all your time. If you went to bed tonight, woke up tomorrow morning, brand new world, and you woke up in a market same size as Charlotte, parallel world, you had all the same training, all the same room and board, all that's taken care of, and you had $5,000. What would you do to get? But you're brand, you don't have that 29 years of development that you had. What would you do with that $5,000 to get business? And in a computer, you have all your equipment and all. It's just like it's kind of an ROI.
And I'm transported elsewhere.
Yeah, it's like an ROI question basically. What would be the best return for somebody new in the business that has $5,000 to start marketing?
Okay. And I'm not in Charlotte, right? I'm
just someplace, equal size or whatever. I mean, if you woke up tomorrow morning and you didn't have all your contacts and all the stuff you built up, but you had $5,000, what would you do to get business?
Well, how could I promote myself in a new area? So things are so different than since I did it. It's like maybe start a YouTube channel and promote it. Most of the money would be promoting it, but I guess just have these type things, talking points on how to build business, and what you have.
And the 5,000, some people, it's not even really a money thing. It's just, what would you do? I mean, some people are like, hey, you just talk to people, or
Right.
go to different groups or that sort of thing. I mean, don't get too hung up on the $5,000. That's just a jump off point, I guess.
I'd have a big party and spend $5,000 inviting local realtors to network with.
There you go. I like it. All right, last question, and then we'll get all your contact info. I asked you earlier in the interview, listing presentation, if you were one of the three. Oh, and I meant to say, you were talking about you didn't care if you were first, second, or third. Do you know Joe Butterworth? I love Joe. We do it for her. So I heard her say one time, says, it's good to be the first child, the second wife, and the third listing presentation. But anyway, that's Joe's like that, man. I love her.
But see, Joe wouldn't feel that way if I was the first and I got them to sign.
That's true.
And then I made the phone call to the other agents.
That's true.
Because I might not get it if she went first.
Well, now I'm gonna put you similar question, but the scenario is different.
Okay.
I'm a real estate agent, been around, got a little experience. I'm decent. I'm considering three different, joining three different firms, and every firm out there has some good stuff, and different, whether it's training, split, and it seems like everything has a fit, different people. I mean, there's tons of real estate, and I'm certainly not going to talk bad about any of them because they've all been good to me. But it seems like, certain people fit with certain things and other people fit with other things.
Right.
So if you're one of the three that I'm interviewing, what Carolina Valor, what would be the thing? What would you, what would be my fit there? What do you offer?
Right. Well, I generally tell people very upfront. I know a lot of agents, and I know agents that really wouldn't be a good fit for me. And I'll tell them, listen, I'm not going to be a good fit for everybody. I think what I have to offer is pretty outstanding, but it's not going to be for everybody. And if you give me a few minutes to tell you about what we have, we'll decide together whether or not this is going to be a good fit. It's a virtual office. Like I said, I pay 100% commission for a small transaction fee. And I think I don't know, I think it's the smallest there is. And it actually gets reduced after so many sales. I offer free coaching, and I'm a certified real estate coach. And I like doing that. That's a good part of it. I have a paid recruiting program for agents that you bring on. I offer warm scrub leads. There's no franchise fee, there's no startup fee, there's no annual fee. And what I'm doing right now, probably at least through January, renew it, because a lot of agents want, like I said, if they're scared of change. A lot of change happens at the first of the year. So what I'm doing to try to promote that is I'm buying all the new agents first set of business cards and first 2 for sale signs. And of course they get me. That's their big. I tell you what, I think throughout the years I've probably had 300 agents that have worked under me.
Not your first rodeo.
That's the wrong term, but worked with me.
Right.
And I think you'd be hard pressed to find any of them that wouldn't tell you I went to bat for them. It's like, now if they're wrong, then we'd set it straight real quick. But for the most part, if there was a problem and they needed help, I'm a bulldog.
Well, and I can't imagine if you got through that deal in Gastonia with the body buried in the back.
Yeah.
Everything else ought to be pretty easy in comparison.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But listen, it's like, I think at peak, I had a little over 120 agents, and the big aspect of it was easy for me. I know the answers, and I can address them. And if I tell people up front, it's like, please come to me with at least a bit of a problem, because I'd rather address it now before it becomes a problem.
Right.
And and I'm easy to reach. I'm there for them. I said the easiest way to correspond with me is a text. If I don't answer the text, call me, because I might have missed it. And I address it. It's like, and I don't do this with my clients, but I make myself available to the agents. Like 7 days a week. You need to reach me at night. If call me in the morning if you can. But if it's urgent, call me. And I'm there for them. And I think a lot of times, a lot of these virtual offices that get so big, they don't have people to bounce things off of. A couple of the agents that came over to me were left because they couldn't get any attention from their VIC. You know, there's a lot of good VICs out there, but there's some that just they're so busy they don't answer the questions. You know,
Right.
It's a commission thing. I think we forget we're fiduciaries to our client. Commission takes that very serious, and they should. You know, and when you have issues that you need, there's a reason that they appoint a VIC to every real estate firm. You know,
Right.
is to help them get through the issues. So I think, you know, a good, strong VIC is one of the most important things anybody should consider when they're joining a firm.
And keep you out of that bulletin, because that's the first thing everybody.
Yeah, I know. Keep your name on there.
Who got in trouble? Who got in trouble? You're right to the back.
Maybe you should go by a phantom name, you know, because a lot. So it comes up like, I don't recognize that name. Yeah, it's the first thing people address.
Yeah, you know, we have that, I have my pest control license and my home inspection license, and it's very similar. You know, there's a bulletin that comes out and people get in trouble. That's always in the back of the bulletin. You know, I'm convinced that's why the circulation's high. But I literally, when that comes out, in our meeting, we read over what the people got in trouble for. And I'm like, all right, don't do that.
Right. Yeah. First thing I'll scan is the city, see if I know them. Then after that, I read them. I was like, are you kidding me?
Well, you know, and some of them are like, are you kidding me? Like, but now some of them, you kind of feel bad. Like it was like, oh, I could see how that could happen. You know what I mean? It was just,
there was a broker in charge that reported their agent to the commission, and she ended up losing her license because they looked at, you know, just thought she was doing the right thing, but it's like, well, you should have caught this sooner. She probably still did the right thing. She just was naive to it earlier.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know, Cindy Chandler, she's fabulous, very, very well respected. And she was when I got my license through Mingle, and she was my instructor. I didn't realize how good she was until then.
Oh, she
was the chairman of the real estate commission and everything. She's easy to reach, and she's so smart. But anyway, I take my BIC up through her, and she said, listen, you know, you agents need to relax. She goes, yes, the real estate commission is in place to protect the public, not the agents, as it should. She said, but we're not out to get you, you know. She said, you know, if something comes up, we want to help you address it. If it's flagrant, then yeah, the hammer's going to come down. But for the most part, we just want to help you get through what the problems are. You know, we're not out there like knocking on your door to come in and do that. That happened once at RE/MAX. You know, as you know, they can come in your office unannounced and say, show me your books, you know, and it's a rare thing, but they did. And, you know, so then,
where's that airplane bottle? I know it's in my desk here somewhere.
I don't have a trust account, by the way, so I don't have to worry about that. I think if I had to have one, I probably wouldn't have started my own company. But
any that I've ever done, I've just let the attorney do that. I don't know. That was what people got in trouble for the most, was the co-mingling.
Right. Well, it's complicated if you do a lot of business. I mean, you know, we do, you know, upwards of a couple thousand transactions a year, and a good year back when we were, you know, and you know, you're responsible for every single transaction, making sure compliance is in place and everything else. I had super good admin at RE/MAX, so you know they took a lot of the.
I know
some a lot of the help.
Yeah. I agree. Good people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Eric, you've been so great with your time and gracious, and I know people got some stuff they can use from this. If people want to get in touch with you or follow up with you, well, first of all, tell us about all your website, your business website, and maybe an email. You don't have to give your phone number unless you want to.
No, that's fine. The website is CarolinaValorRealty.com. It's VALOR.
Can you spell that? Because I'm not the best.
No, sure. Valor, VALOR.
Okay. Now,
Carolina
Valor was the one.
Realty, you know,
Carolina
Valor,
I can spell,
meaning
but Valor,
courageous, you know, fierce. CarolinaValorRealty.com. Email is Eric@CarolinaValor. And my cell number is the easiest way to reach me, 704-577-5233. I think I've had the number for 25 years.
704-577
5233.
5233. Awesome.
Yeah. And well, hey, I welcome any calls, even if it's something you don't have interest in. If you want to just brainstorm with me, you know, I love helping agents out, and I'm an open book. So,
and also if you ride, if you ride, get up with Eric.
Yeah.
We're going to do it at some point.
Well, let's say by March we should find some nice days. Hey, yeah, last week we found some nice. Who knows? It's mid 70s in December, but yeah,
it's so weird. It's like all of a sudden it's a good day, and I'm like, man, I need to. But I got the battery tender on it. I can go anytime.
There you go. Hey, well, you say the word. I'm ready, Preston.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Eric, and I'll catch you on the flip side, brother.
Thank you, bro. Take care.
You've been listening to the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast with your host, Preston Sandlin. Join us on the next episode where we'll be talking to a successful agent or vendor about the right things to do and the wrong things you should avoid. Join us on the next episode of the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast.